Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wild Path Conversations, an interview series exploring the people, pathways, and careers that shape the outdoor sector. Across these conversations, we speak with individuals working across the outdoors, from freelancers, founders, professionals, and change makers across the sector to share insights and inspiration for your own career. And today I'm joined by Dan Povey, founder of North Survival. Dan is a freelance outdoor instructor based in the Northeast and is in the process of building a business rooted in skills, stewardship, and community. His roots into the outdoors hasn't been a straight line, moving through a range of jobs before carving out a career in the outdoors. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And I thought it'd be lovely to kick off to understand a little bit more about you and North Survival. And it'd be great to hear sort of how you describe what you do and the work that you're focused on now.
So yeah, as you say, it's been a quite arduous path. I'm a freelance activity instructor now. After a lot of setbacks, eventually where I want to be and carving out my path to the future. So as you mentioned, I've got a company, North Survival, at the minute. That is what I use for freelancing. So it's just my own limited company I use for freelancing. But I'm trying to expand that sort of idea of North Survival. I want to offer in the future, well, I've got access to a little bit of woodland, and I'd like to offer some sort of maybe mental health days where everybody just gathers around the campfire and talks, shares food. And I was thinking about different ways I could sort of introduce that. And because I always found that it helped me when I was going through mental health troubles, as most of us do in life at some point, is to just be in that outdoor environment, just to get back to those basic sort of needs and be around a fire. If that's by yourself or with people you love, your friends, your family, then it just depends on your mood at that time. But what I wanted to do is sort of bring that community together, because getting into the outdoors, being a bit of an outcast at school, not really fitting in here or there, taking out in different paths, where do I want to be? But just for the sort of bringing that community together, that actually is people like you around, and there's like-minded people everywhere. But maybe we're a bit more disconnected now than we used to be.
Absolutely. And so then, where did that interest for you in the outdoors begin?
Yeah, so it sort of sparked off when I was very young. I'm lucky to have my dad to introduce me from very young. I used to go out with them everywhere. We used to go on bike rides quite a lot, and also we used to go camping, and that sort of started when I was about 6 years old, and it became like a really, really special thing to go camping with my dad. I'd really look forward to it, and it sort of spiraled from there. Bushcraft was overall my first real passion. Camping, whatever you want to call it, it's more labeled as bushcraft these days. But it was just camping when we did it. And what we'd do is we'd go out and we'd just have a fire, cook some food on the fire, and we'd be responsible. My dad would always educate me about looking after the environment, taking litter home, don't leave anything. And it just went from there. And then I sort of got a bit more into it than him and really got into reading about survival techniques, sort of studying that, and then that really gave me that passion for camping. And when I got my own car when I was 17, I could sort of do that more, and then I really did fall in love with it. I was going every weekend, and from there it just sort of blossomed when I started off my different pathways of my careers, which we'll talk about later.
Absolutely. It's so lovely to have, I suppose, that introduction into the outdoors from in your case your father to sort of show you that world and I guess open up a space that a lot of people don't think is that accessible to them necessarily, but have that,
yeah,
you know, here you go, this is what this could be. And as you say, as I think so many of us do, sort of take it beyond where their interest lies, you know, in terms of intensity, and like, actually this becomes your life in a way maybe he never even thought it could have been. And it would be great to hear, I suppose, that journey you've had from, I suppose, those years of, you know, school and you know, your introduction into the outdoors into where you are now as a freelance outdoor instructor, your career wasn't, an obvious straight line, but that those steps from, I suppose, traditional job into, outdoor, freelance work. It'd be great to hear that journey that you went through.
Yeah, well, I can say I can speak for a lot of the industry in saying that I'm not very good at focusing in a classroom environment, but that doesn't mean that I don't like learning. I absolutely love learning, but everybody learns differently. I'm a more hands-on person. A lot of us are. That's why we get into what we do. And when you're at school, it tends to sort of focus you down more traditional pathways, which there's nothing wrong with, but that's not for everyone. When I was young, I was told by people around me, options are you go to university or you go get a trade, go work in construction, go get a useful trade. And I thought, okay, that sounds acceptable. That's the way. And a lot of us just sort of, yeah, that's fine. And is fine for a lot of us.
Yeah.
I tried that. I tried working in a trade because uni definitely wasn't for me. I wasn't that academic. I couldn't sit down and focus and write that much. So I did try the trade route, and it wasn't for me. And I never had any opportunity at school to really approach the outdoors in the way I do now. So I think it's brilliant that we've got things like the Duke of Edinburgh scheme. Maybe things used to be better with outdoor ed back when it was subsidized and children got a lot more opportunities, then maybe it would have been talked about more. But it's not talked about as much. It's seen as a bit of a joke of a career. I've been told by people around me that it's not a real path. And I do see where they're coming from, because it's just the idea of carving your way through it, and it's not easy, but nothing in life that is worth doing is easy. And it's really important that you really do your dreams, whether that is working in the outdoors, being a skilled carpenter, or being an academic. There's no right or wrong path, but it's really important, I think, that you do something you enjoy in life and you make a difference.
Absolutely. And I think that's such an interesting point around, I suppose, the perception of the outdoor work of some parts of the outdoor sector, where it's much more, just being outside and taking people on these experiences and showing them aspects that they would never otherwise really have the opportunity to experience. And now that you've been in it some time and you've started to break ground and build this for yourself, when someone says, oh, that isn't a real career, or it's not a realistic career, how do you respond to that now, having started down that?
Yeah, well, it's funny that I don't get told that anymore. I don't need to respond to that.
How interesting.
That's actually fine. The silence sort of speaks for itself. I do get asked what's my plan, but who really does know that plan? Because it can go in certain directions. I've got ideas of what I want to do, but I don't really get asked anymore. I don't really get told it's not a real path, because I'm just making it happen, and I've got friends around me that are on the same path now. So it's a lot more. It's a lot more known to people around me that this is actually a path that you can take.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to think that if anybody in the future who's in my position, maybe they'll send me to speak to them about how it is a real path, and hopefully I can inspire some people. That's a big thing for me, inspiring people, because without people who inspired me, my heroes, the people I look up to, then I wouldn't be where I am now. And I'd like to think that one day that I can be in a similar position. I can help people, and I can inspire people, even people who don't want a career in the outdoors, but maybe just help everybody respect the outdoors a bit more. Sustainability comes up a lot these days. Our green spaces are endangered. A lot of them are. And I think it's important that we protect that for generations to come. And I'd like to hopefully make a difference on that front.
Absolutely. And I think it's so interesting how you say that you don't get that question anymore. Actually, I suppose it leads into my next question about how someone might want to get into this as an individual, either
Yeah.
at school or at that point in their lives where they're making a decision, and haven't got a career that they've already started building. But it was actually almost by surrounding yourself with either people who believe in you as an individual, but other people within that sector, within that world, who say, well, actually, it is a career. Look, I've done it myself. It is a really interesting point that's what you sort of need. You don't have that challenge anymore. People going, what are you trying to do? But I suppose if someone was to want to follow this path and they're listening to this conversation, what does a realistic route into that world look like today?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways into it. There's a lot of different paths you can take, and there's a lot of different outcomes as well. So I'd say if you were young, like I was when I started, I was 18 when I did my first season as an outdoor instructor. So what I'd do if I was that age again would be exactly the same. I'd apply for somewhere, one of the big centres, go work a season there, get a taste for it, and you take that with a pinch of salt, because obviously it's entry level. Maybe you're not going to get the respect you think you might deserve at that age, but at the end of the day, we all start somewhere. And just go through that experience, and you'll make the best memories ever, and you'll meet some amazing people, and you'll just have a great time. Even if it's not for you, I've got friends that I did my first season with, totally different careers now, and not one of us regret doing that. That was really a turning point in our lives. Well, for me, it set me on that path, and for a few others that I know. And then for others, it was just sort of one of them experiences that took away from them through life. And yeah, I'd really recommend any young person to do that, whether it's if you're coming out of college, finishing university, and you don't really know where to go, you've got a bit of time, do that summer season. If you're a bit older, you're in a job that you don't like, let's say you hate your job, or
Many of us
just
do,
like
yeah.
what you're doing. I know a few people in that position who are thinking about making a switch to the outdoors, and I know people who have already done that, from photographers, from people who work in law. Just that sort of white collar life isn't for everyone, but a lot of people have to give up big paychecks when they get into the outdoors. Obviously, it's not a monetarily fulfilling role. You're not going to get paid a lot, especially when you're starting. But that's something you come to terms with, because happiness, money can't buy.
Yes.
So you just got to have that balance. And I've been there. I'm fortunate because I'm younger. A lot of people have a lot more dependencies than me. I understand that. But I think if you're starting and you're a bit older, maybe get a few qualifications, and maybe a walking qualification or a climbing one. Go work in your climbing wall on the weekend. Do some Duke of Edinburgh work for schools on the weekend, and sort of get your toes wet a bit in that industry. See if you like it. And what I'd say is important is don't just go for the qualifications as someone who's not in the sector. If you want to work in the sector, I think group experience is a lot more valuable than having all of the certificates. You're going to get looked at more seriously if you handled groups for a long time and you've handled varieties of groups. I think that a lot of people rush into the qualifications rather than getting that groundwork of working with people and the skills you need to work with people, because that's a very, very different thing to proficiency in an outdoor sport.
Absolutely. And that was actually what I wanted to touch on, was around this idea of qualifications and what someone might want, or what might be valuable to them. But from what I'm hearing is actually qualifications are less important than one might think that they would be, particularly as one starting out. And actually it's the experience, and then I'm starting to build a groundwork of experience, and now I will go for qualification, as opposed to saying go for qualification and then start working.
Yeah, and a lot of these qualifications that you do focus on group work.
Yeah.
So you're not really going to get that knowledge without being in the sector. So even if that's just doing a season, or maybe you're working at a climbing wall and you're going for your CWI, RCI, at least you're running sessions, at least, yeah, well, sessions are a prerequisite for a lot of qualifications now. But it just shows that you've got that background, you know how to work with people, you know how to adapt to different situations, and that'll be looked on highly by employers, especially at centres. If you're looking at that route, you're valued for your experience more than your qualifications, because anybody can be put through qualifications,
Yeah,
but you can't buy that experience. That takes time.
absolutely. And so beyond the experience and the qualification side, you know, on the more human aspect, you know, personal skills, you know, traits, you know, what do you see are as the most important for really thriving and doing well in this space?
I think attitude's a big one. So you've got to love what you're doing to project that onto your clients, onto your guests, onto the people who've paid to be there or you're taking out. You've got to sort of have that positive attitude constantly to make sure that your group have a good time, because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that fun's prioritized and safety's prioritized. And I think attitude contributes a lot of safety. If you're pessimistic about things, then you need that problem solving as well. You need to be optimistic. You need to, if something does go wrong, you need to focus on the what can I do, not what can't I do.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one. People skills, talking to people, talking to different types of people from everywhere. So like from talking to children to talking to executives who are bringing their kids somewhere, who obviously want to talk about a lot of different things. So you've got to be interested in what people do.
Yeah.
You've got to be interested in meeting new people. And I think that I need to be around people personally. I love meeting new people. I think it's one of the most brilliant things about life, is just to go out there and talk to people. And I suppose I've got my dad to thank for that as well. He's always talking to people, and I picked that up from him. And yeah, approachability, adaptability, and confidence as well. You got to be confident in what you're doing, but you don't want to think you're the best. You don't want to be overconfident. A lot of us fall into that trap of thinking they're elite, and because they work in the outdoors. But nobody is really elite. We've all got our strengths and weaknesses, and it's good to listen as well as to take leadership. Especially when you're starting out, don't act like you know it all, because there's people who've been in the industry for decades longer than you, and you can take a lot from them. And at the end of the day, as instructors, all we're doing is copying each other and following each other's instructing styles and learning off each other. And I think that's how the industry adapts and how it thrives over time. And these people who have been in the industry for a long time, again, really do listen to what they have to say, because they know a lot more than the entry-level person.
Absolutely.
As goes with every career.
Absolutely. And I think, as you say, there's so many sort of traits and skills that you just mentioned there that, as you say, cross so many boundaries, so many areas. But I suppose you're right, being out, say, in the hills with a group of people and being able to manage that and manage different personalities and risk all at once, whilst being a professional and chirpy and happy, but then knowing when you need to be serious because things are dangerous or risky. It's quite a unique skill set that I suppose not most people in an office are never going to even think about, let alone have to have experience to be able to do what they do on the day to day. And well, I suppose shifting gears ever so slightly, Dan, you think about the outdoors, and a lot of people talk about mental health when it comes to the outdoors. And I suppose it'd just be lovely to hear your thoughts on that. You even mentioned at the beginning about, sort of North survival and sort of where that could go in terms of bringing people together. But it'd be lovely to hear about your thoughts around the outdoors and mental health and why you think it's such a powerful sort of agent to look after that for people.
Yeah, well, you don't have to look very far to find studies that show that green spaces help us.
Mm-hmm.
And I do really believe that it brings us back to the sort of fundamentals of living. In this environment that we're surrounded with, a lot of people maybe take for granted now. because we're too busy to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to take a moment and to step outside. And we're lucky in this country; we've got our right of ways, and we can go out walking in the countryside. And a lot of people maybe don't know about that, maybe take that for granted a bit.
Yeah.
But it's there for everyone. And I think it's such a big part of our culture as well. Like I was going out the other day, it was Boxing Day, and it was just nice to see all the families out walking. And you get that a lot this time of year.
Yeah.
And I think it's nice that people even come out in the cold to appreciate the outdoors. Yeah, it wasn't a very pleasant day, but everybody was still out there. And I think that respect's a big thing to do with that. And but when it comes to mental health, that I believe that respecting the outdoors and loving the outdoors is fundamental to living your existence. So yeah, I just want to sort of share with people how it's helped me, how it can help you. And it's not for everyone, I appreciate that. And some of us maybe find peace in other things. But it's such a big one for me, and it's proven to help. And I'm actually working with a charity coming up for my expedition, Mind Over Mountains, and that's what they focus on. They bring people out who were suffering at the time, and I really want to make that sort of visible and make a change, and hopefully influence people into finding the more positive things about the outdoors and loving it as I do.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, the expedition that you're talking about, could you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so I talked about my setbacks at the start. The expedition was supposed to be happening this spring, but I broke my leg last spring, so I've not been able to train. And it set me back, but it's also made me want to do it more. What it is that me and one of my old colleagues and one of my good friends, Josh, we're going on a big hike with some sections of canoeing and running, and we're just going to sort of raise that awareness throughout our time. It's going to take about 30 days, and we're going to do all of the Wainwrights in one round, and with an extra segment of coast to coast on the end. Amazing. And a section of canoeing and running at the start. I've got all of this information on my website if you want to read a bit more about it. But I had to put that in the back burner. So it's happening next spring. 2027 is the year for it. Amazing. And we're going to be ready for then. And hopefully we can raise some awareness, raise some money for a good cause. And it's about that personal challenge for us as well. It's a bit of fun for us, and it's also to test our endurance and to test ourselves and maybe sort of test our mental health a bit and put us through some trials and tribulations to learn more about ourselves, and maybe we'll know ourselves better after it.
I think
the hope is to think about ourselves and complete this expedition while also looking at the bigger picture, looking at mental health as the bigger picture, looking at the local communities, how they're affected with sustainability issues. And because we're going to be in the Lake District, yeah, and a lot of us have been there recently and seen litter everywhere, and it's brilliant that more people are getting out to see it, but to what sacrifice? Especially when I see people walking up the mountain at 4 a.m. Locals litter picking. It just sort of brings it home a bit. If that was your home, how would you feel about it?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think it sounds like a wonderful adventure for you and your friends, but also something that has real value to the wider community, and obviously Mind Over Mountains, who you're going to fundraise for through this. No, and I'm sure we'll all be watching with bated breath as when this does come around to champion you on as you go through this experience. No, wonderful. And Dan, you sort of touched on it in the beginning, but North Survival, as you say, this is your vehicle that you're building your freelancing through. And you say you touched on it a little bit at the start, but what do you see this becoming over the next few years? As you start to really break down on the organization.
Yeah, so I'd like to put my own twist on it. I don't want to be a traditional company. I want to offer my own experiences and unique ones. I've got a few ideas that will be coming out soon. It's just sorting all of the other stuff out in between, all the other stuff I'm going through with freelancing. So it's at the minute, it is basically just the freelancing front, and it is my way of offering my services.
Yeah.
But it's going to expand into me delivering my own personal experiences, and it's going to be a page for my expeditions. I've got a blog on there, and yeah, it's just sort of my personal little idea.
Fantastic. No,
and I hope that it can expand into something bigger one day.
Absolutely. I think it sounds like it has an interesting journey that you're going on, and hopefully the organization can grow with you as that happens. And I suppose sort of finally, Dan, if someone is sitting at a desk job now and is watching this and sort of dreaming of a more outdoors led life, what would you say to them?
I'd say that it's not too late to make a change. Most of us have 2 or 3 careers in our lives.
Yeah.
So if you feel like it's time, then maybe it is time. Go for it.
Amazing. That's
nice.
Go
for it sensibly.
Yeah. No, that's superb.
Make sure you calculate everything and the risk and the sacrifices you'll be making. But yeah, go for it if you feel like that's your path.
Fantastic. No, I think it's nice and inspiring. I think so many people would love to take that leap, but it is intimidating, as you say, particularly if you're slightly later in your career than sort of coming out of school or university.
Yeah.
Amazing. Dan, thank you so much for speaking with us today. It's been so incredibly insightful to hear about your journey and some of those lessons that you've shared. And if you'd like to get in contact with Dan, then head to northsurvival.co.uk to directly contact him and find out more about his expedition and your blog as well. And if you want to discover more about outdoor related careers and current opportunities, then do subscribe to The Wild Path at teamwildpath.com. And thank you so much for listening.